Hello, everyone. This is Paul. Welcome back to the Generation Latino podcast. You are listening to season 3, episode 10. Guys, we are halfway through this season. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, as you all know. But I hope you had a good weekend. I had a very fun weekend myself. I had a gym event that my CrossFit gym was hosting. So that was fun. I worked. What else did I do? I worked out, and so it was busy. It was a busy weekend. So I cannot believe we're at the end of March, heading into April, and I'm like, how are we this far into the year? And I know everyone says that, like, oh my God, it's already April, but truly, it's already April, and it is crazy to me how fast it's going. And to me, I enjoy things like I love that it's going by fast, but at the same time, I'm like, "Holy cow," like, I have so many things I need to do, so many goals and boxes I need to check and whatnot. But anyways, how's the first quarter of the year going for you all? Is it going well? Are you enjoying it? Is it going as planned? Is it not? Are you having to pivot? I mean, to me, the first quarter of the year is the most important part of the year because it really kind of helps guide you into what you need to do for the remaining 9 months of the year, right? Like, it really helps you realize, okay, I gotta fix this, I gotta do that differently. I know for me, after kind of evaluating the first 3 months of the year, I know what I need to do moving forward, and I have a lot of work to do. Good, bad, everything in between. So, if you're new to the podcast, I want you to know we are a podcast that celebrates culture, resilience, real conversations, and the stories that shape our Latino lives. And if this is your first time listening, welcome. I really appreciate you tuning in and just kind of hanging in with us. I really enjoy you hanging out with us. And this podcast is about community, it's about storytelling, it's about resilience, it's about really knowing that you are not alone in life and struggles and what life brings us sometimes because it's rough. It's a rough time to be alive right now. And I know I always say that, but it really is. I was watching an interview with Viola Davis, and she was on the Amy Poehler podcast. And I'm going to paraphrase what Viola said, but she basically was saying that life is rough. It beats you up, it beats you down, it throws you in the trash, and you have to make your way out. And it's true. I mean, life is rough, life is tough. And how do you pivot? How do you get out of something? How do you figure out a way to navigate and pivot? And it's what life is about. So again, thank you for tuning in. Usually I am the one interviewing people or we're talking about these heavy topics and things like that. But today I'm going to answer questions to help you get to know me even more on a deeper level. And I know I've shared a lot on this podcast about my personal life and, growing up queer, Latino, fatherless, and all of that. But I want to dive a little bit deeper and get into a little bit more storytelling and detail. So I really hope you enjoy this episode of Turning the Mic on Myself. All right, guys. So I'm going to break down this episode into basically segments of different areas about getting to know me. So, the first one is going to be background and personal story. So, the first question is, who is Paul outside of the podcast? So, for me, I am someone who really enjoys life for the most part. I'm someone who's really optimistic. I'm someone who likes health and wellness. I love mental health. I love physical health. I'm someone who also likes to really push myself mentally, physically. I like to really challenge myself. I like to always be stimulated. So that's that. All right. So the next question, where did you grow up and how did it shape who you are today? All right. So I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. And I think what shaped me was the culture that I grew up in. I grew up in the south side of San Antonio, which is its own area, if you will, very Latino driven, very culture based. Most people who live in the south side of San Antonio don't really leave the south side, like, I mean, at all. Like, they don't go to even like a different side of town, so, but it helped shape me because it helped me really toughen up. It really helped make me just kind of street smart, and it made me very aware. It made me very cultured. It helped me basically tough me up. I'm not gonna lie. Like, in my school, there was people who were selling drugs and doing drugs at a young age, and I just was always aware of that and gangs and all of that. So it shaped me in that way that it just really toughened me up. So I can go anywhere and I'm like ready for it. Next question is, what was your childhood like? Um, I think for me, if you could throw every emotion into a blender and just turn it on, that would be my childhood. It had great moments in it. It had some very bad moments in it, but all in all, I really enjoyed my childhood. Would I change things? Absolutely. I know when people ask, "Oh, would you change anything in your childhood or in your past?" People are like, "No, because it wouldn't bring me where I am today," which is all fine and whatnot, but I would change things in my childhood. I would I wouldn't put myself in situations that maybe I was put in, because I had no choice. So I enjoy my childhood, though. I really believe that my mom, my aunt, my grandmother did the best that they could, so I enjoyed my childhood. I enjoyed school and all of that. Next question is, what is one challenge from your younger years that changed your life? I think the biggest challenge for me that changed my life was always be my authentic self. I knew I was queer at a very young age. I think the first time I really knew I was queer was in the fourth grade, where I knew for sure, like, okay, I am queer, I'm gay. And then from there, I just kind of had to navigate how I was going to like manage those feelings because if you know you're gay or you know you're just different, the hard part isn't knowing that you're different. The hard part is now how are you going to navigate who you are in this world, regardless, because you have to figure it out. You have to navigate life. You have to figure out how am I going to be? Now I know I'm a queer man. I'm different. I like guys. I'm a little bit feminine. I'm a little bit this. I'm a little bit that. Like, how do I navigate that? And I think that was a challenge for me being younger, but I just stayed authentic to myself. And I think it really helped me as an adult because it changed my life. Because every room I walk into, every experience I have, every person I meet, I am just my authentic self. And I don't apologize for being myself. I mean, I will apologize if I say something that may offend someone for sure, but I'm not apologizing for who I am as an individual. All right, so next question. How did growing up Latino influence your perspective on life? Well, growing up Latino, I grew up going to like quinceañeras. I grew up very rich in like Mexican food and like arroz con pollo. And it was just, I grew up with a lot of love in my immediate family, like my sisters, my brother, and my mom. Like I grew with a lot of unconditional love. I know I'm very blessed to have experienced unconditional love because a lot of people don't. So it really helped me with my perspective of like, you know what, like there are loyal people out there. You can trust people. I know so many people who are so angry at the world and kind of, you know, just I don't wanna say the word bitter, but they have a hard time seeing light in the world. And growing up Latino influenced my life because I realized it may be dark, it may be a dark world even like today, but there's still light somewhere, right? I look at the light. I have a brand new nephew, my nieces, my family, my friends. I'm always looking for light, even in the darkest moments, but that's what growing up Latino helped me do. All right. last question on this little segment. What lessons from your family still stick with you today? I think the biggest lesson from my family that stick with me today is the fact that love is enough. Love is enough. And love will conquer all. I truly believe that. And I know people will be like, well, now it's not. Like, I believe it will. And you can think differently, but I do believe that that lesson of family and community is very important. But I also believe that that's on the parents to build that. My mom worked very hard on creating a dynamic with my siblings of this unconditional love, loyalty, no tit for tat. It's just genuine love. And that's a lesson that I take with me everywhere. Like, you can be lovely and give love and embrace people. That's a big lesson that I've always carried with me. All right, so the next segment is education and career. All right, so the first question on this segment is, okay, you have 3 degrees. What motivated you to pursue education the way you did? All right, so I take a lot of pride in my education, being a scholar, and my degrees and all of that. But what motivated me was not growing up with people who were educated. Like, the only people that I knew around me immediately that were educated were my teachers. And I knew early on that education really could open up a lot of doors. So that really motivated me to want to go to school. And it really motivated me to realize, like, hey, education equals opportunity. Opportunity means more doors open. Opportunity means you're not at anyone's mercy. I grew up seeing people really being at others' mercies. Next question. What was the hardest moment during your academic journey? Hmm. I think for me, the hardest moment was probably when I was in graduate school working on my master's, working full time and going to school as well full time and navigating all of that. I don't think people really talk about it enough, but I mean, your mental health really starts to get fatigued and you really have to navigate because, you know, for me, I'm in a leadership role, so I'm managing, I'm leading, going to school, and it's hard to do. Most people I know who went to school for a graduate degree or just higher ed, like, a lot of them just focused on the school, not on working and going to school. That's hard to do. I don't care what you're doing, whether you're at a community college or university, a private university, like, it's hard to do both. It is. It is very hard. But that was probably the hardest moment during my academic journey. And I don't know if I'll have another one right as I enter school. I'm entering school this next fall. And I'm like, huh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to match that because I'm also working full time and going to school. So we'll see. So next question is why nonprofit management? So for those of you who don't know, I do have a master's degree in nonprofit management. And the reason why is because after undergrad, I started working in nonprofit and I just fell in love with mission driven work. I fell in love with community building. I fell in love with bringing people together and working with marginalized groups and all of that. And when I was considering going back to get a graduate degree, to get a master's degree, I was going back and forth with what I wanted to study. And then what I realized was I was in a lot of spaces in the nonprofit world where a lot of people in positions, titles, CEO positions, executive positions, and I mean, well, you name it, really didn't even know what they were doing or what they were talking about. Like, I genuinely mean that. I knew people who were on boards, helping make decisions that influenced the organization, and I really was like, "What the hell?" Like, a lot of these people don't have any experience in nonprofit, let alone making decisions, so that was a big factor on why nonprofit management, and I love it. Alright, so the next question and the last question for education and career. What is something people misunderstand about your career path? I think people misunderstand my honesty. I'm a very honest individual. I speak my mind, and I don't do it to prove that I'm right or that I'm wrong. It's just who I am. I just speak my mind, and not in a disrespectful or rude way. I'm just someone who, if and I'll use an example, if at work I'm hearing somebody say something about me to someone else, like, I would go to that person and not so much confront them, but I would approach them like, "Well, hey, is there an issue that you have with me? Can we fix it?" So I think for some people, they think that that can be combative or dramatic or having, drama or toxic traits, but for me, it's about being an adult and talking about the issue so that it's not festering. So I do that a lot. So I think I'm misunderstood in that way. And I also think that I'm misunderstood as far as being a hard ass, right? Like being strict at work. But I mean, I believe in following policies and procedures and following rules when it comes to safety and whatnot. So that's one thing. All right. So the next thing is the segment podcast journey. All right. So what inspired you to start Generation Latino? I was inspired for many years to do this podcast. I mean, about 4 years ago, I had the idea, and I've said this before. The idea came from just the lack of representation for Latinos in the podcast space, and I wanted to really talk to a specific demographic, and that's what really inspired me to start the podcast. And so to be 3 seasons in, it's pretty remarkable, and I'm very proud of not just myself, but I'm proud of the people who would listen. I'm proud of the people who have been able to share it and people who have just been able to come on the podcast, from friends to people that I don't even know to I mean, I'm really thankful for that. All right. So next question. What message did you want the podcast to share with the world? I think if I could just pick one message is that your voice matters, that you matter, that you're not alone. Those are messages that I want people to know, and that other people are going through what you're going through as well. What has been your favorite episode so far? I think my favorite episode, and I've had a lot of episodes that I've really loved doing, whether it's about music, heartbreak, having a guest on, talking about trauma coming out. I mean, there's so many topics that I've talked about with professionals, social media influencers. But I think for me, my favorite episode is episode 1, just because it's what started it all. And I think it was a good foundation to start off of. And if there wasn't an episode 1, there wouldn't be an episode 2. So that's been my favorite episode thus far. And I think it will always be my favorite episode just because it's where it started. Next question. What has podcasting taught you about people? What podcasting has taught me about people is that we are all the same. Like at the end of the day, we all pretty much want the same thing. And I think it's just to be happy, to live a happy life, to be fulfilled. I really believe that. I've talked to a lot of people, and we all have a story to tell. We do, and I don't think some people are brave enough to tell their story, but at the end of the day, that's what it's about. I think that is what everybody wants. People want love, they want acceptance, they want happiness. That's what podcasting has taught me about people, that we are truly all the same for the most part. Next question, and the last question for this segment. What do you hope listeners walk away with after each episode? I would hope that listeners walk away with just have learned something, like a little nugget of knowledge and feeling good about themselves, right? Like, I never want someone to listen to an episode and feel like shit, or like feel like they're not doing good enough. Like this whole, again, podcast, this whole series has been about uplifting and motivating and finding your voice. And even throughout the noise and even throughout the negativity of people, like you still have to keep going. And that is what I want people to walk away with is to keep going, keep going. All right, so next segment is life lessons. So from here on out, it's gonna get a little bit more personal and whatnot. So grab yourself a glass of wine if you're able to drink, or some coffee like I have with me right now. So, anyways, life lessons. What is the biggest lesson life has taught you so far? The biggest lesson life has taught me so far is that life is really, really short, and you have to live with no regrets. And another lesson it's given me is that don't be so hard on yourself. You have to forgive yourself. Like, life is hard. It is hard. It's unpredictable. It's not fair. But the biggest lesson it has taught me is that you have to motivate yourself. You have to motivate yourself to do things. You have to. There's just no other way. There is no other way. But that's the biggest lesson that life has taught me. No one can do it but you. No one. No one can pick up the dumbbell, can go on the treadmill, can apply for that job. You have to do it on your own if you want it to happen. You do. But that's the biggest lesson. Next question. What is something you wish you knew in your 20s? Oh God. Something that I wish I knew in my 20s. That that it's not that deep. It's not that personal. He didn't call you because he didn't want you. Like the guy, you're not that girl, like it's just that is something that I wish I knew. I used to fixate on a lot of things that didn't go my way, or if someone didn't want me, if a guy didn't like me, and I used to really just fixate on things. And now I don't. If someone doesn't want to talk to me, if someone doesn't want to be with me or around me, it's just it is what it is, and it's not personal. So that's something that I wish I knew in my 20s. It's not that big of a deal, Paul. Move on. There's another one. All right, next question. What advice would you give someone struggling with their identity? That's tough. I think identity is so important because it defines who you are, right? Like, and if you're struggling with identity, I think the biggest way to get to the root of who you are is ask yourself questions. You have to ask yourself questions. Who am I? What am I? What do I like? Who do I want in my life? What kind of person do I want to be with? Who am I? I mean, you really have to ask yourself these questions and then work towards them. That is the only way that you're going to help with your identity, because you're going to be able to narrow down who you are. So just remember that if you're struggling with your identity, and whether you're 18 years old, 15 or 55 or 60, 70, if you're struggling with your identity, you have to really narrow down who you are, what you want, your likes, your dislikes. That's the only way that you're going to be able to figure out who you really are. And you won't be so confused. Your goal would be, how can I make that happen? If I want to be someone who wants to be active, wants a healthier lifestyle, wants to eat better, wants to feel good about themselves, wants better skin, whatever it is, right? Wants a better education. Once you get those questions answered, your life will be a lot easier, because then you're going to be able to work on that. So I think a lot of people who struggle with identity don't have a lot of answers about who they are, what they want. Last question on this segment. What does resilience mean to you? I love this word, resilience, but what it means to me is just always finding an answer. Of course, it's like not giving up and, always doing your best and all that. But to me, resilience, although I believe in not giving up, I believe in always moving forward, I believe in, all of those quotes, I truly believe when you're resilient, you will always find an answer. And that's what resilience means to me. It means that if some obstacle comes my way, I'm going to find an answer and a solution. But that's what it means to me. All right, so the next segment is culture and identity. What does being Latino mean to you personally? I've answered this question many times, obviously, because of my podcast title and who I am. But what does being Latino mean to me personally? It means that I am rich in culture, that I am sassy and spicy and quick-tempered sometimes. It means that I love me a Mexican Latino man. No, but for real though, that's what it means to me. No, it just means that I'm proud. I'm proud. Being Latino means to me everything. It's identity. It's my identity. It's who I am. I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of being a Latino. I'm proud of, being from an immigrant grandmother. I say that so much because I really genuinely am proud of it. When I was younger, maybe I wasn't as proud because I didn't know what it meant. I didn't realize the importance of, culture, I was just too busy listening to Britney Spears and the Spice Girls and, Shania Twain, I was too busy being that girl, like but as I got older, I realized the importance of identity and culture and what it really means, and to me, I am proud AF. And for you older people, that means proud as fuck. But, next question, what is something about Latino culture you wish more people understood? That we're not yelling, that we're just talking to each other, that we're not screaming at each other. That's just a Friday night at game night. I think sometimes people think that we're, like, yelling and fighting and not getting along when really we're just really trying to figure out an answer to a game or something like that. So, that is something that Latino culture that I wish more people understood. Like, we're not being aggressive, like, we're not being mean or rude. We're, like, literally just, like, trying to get through the day. But that's something I think sometimes Latinos get a bad rap because 'cause they're like, "Wow, she's spicy. He's spicy," or "He's this and he's that." I'm like, "No, I'm not any of that, right now. I mean, I can be, but I'm just trying to, get to HEB and get out, go to the grocery store, get my shit, and leave." But next question, what cultural traditions are important to you? Family time. Quality family time. I love family time. I love spending time with my family. I mean, there is really nothing better than that. And also spending time with my friends. I love spending time with my friends, hanging out with my friends, and just doing fun stuff. I love it. I mean, it's what life is about. Like I could die tomorrow and say that I spent my life really with some beautiful, phenomenal, great people. I could literally die happy. God forbid, please, I wanna live till, like, I'm at least 80, but yeah. So the next segment is fun and personality questions. Alright. So what are 3 things people would be surprised to learn about you? I think 3 things that people would be surprised to learn about me is that I am a sensitive person. Like, I cry at movies, I cry at songs. Another thing would be that I love to lay down and do nothing. I like to be a sloth sometimes. And another thing people would be surprised to learn about me would be that I love love. I don't know, but everybody knows that. That I love to go to the movies by myself. I do love to do that. As social as I am, as vibrant as I could be, I love to go to a movie by myself, order food, order a drink, and just have a good, gay old time. What is your favorite movie of all time? All right, so if anyone knows me, my favorite movie of all time is Titanic. 1997, directed by James Cameron, starring Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio. That movie has not been touched. Like, it is my favorite movie. I watched it a couple times a year, and I remember when I was young, like, in my early 20s, I got my first apartment on my own, and that was, like, the first movie I watched. Usually when I go into a new space, that's the first movie I watch in that space. I have seen that movie 200 times. I mean, probably more, but I just love that movie so much. Whenever they re-release it in the theaters, I watch it. It's the soundtrack, it's the acting, it's nostalgia, it's everything, everything. And to me, that is the best movie of all time, and it's my favorite movie of all time. Next question. What music do you always go back to? I always go back to country 90s country music, always. That is always gonna be my jam. 90s country, like Brooks and Dunn, The Chicks, Reba McEntire, Faith Hill, all of that. Oh my god, Shania Twain. Yeah, I always go back to 90s country, Alan Jackson, Tim McGraw, George Strait, always. That's just what I always go back to. What would you be doing if you weren't podcasting? If I wasn't podcasting, it doesn't take up much of my time. I consider it to be like a hobby or just like a passion project. But if I wasn't podcasting, what I would be doing with my time is probably with a guy. No, I'm just kidding. Probably just watching a show or, I don't know. It doesn't take much time to do my podcast. Like I said, it's more of a passion project, but I would probably be like watching YouTube or something. All right. So the last segment is reflection. First question on the reflection section is, what are you most proud of in your life? I am most proud of not doing drugs. No, just kidding. I'm most proud of mm, making it happen, just finding a way. I'm most proud of that. Life is hard. I keep saying that, but it's fucking hard. And I'm most proud of that. And I'm also very proud of the community that I've built around myself. Friends, people that I've met throughout the years. I'm very proud of that. And I take a lot of pride with me when I think about the friendships that I have, the mentors that I've built. I am very proud of that. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of being with people who really want the best for me and vice versa. What motivates you to keep going when things get hard? What motivates me to keep going when things get hard? Knowing that other people have it harder than me, knowing that there is a God and that this too shall pass. I truly mean that. That's what keeps me going when things get hard. I think about my grandmother. I think about the people before me who had it worse. So when I hear these people griping and complaining about first world problems, and I'm guilty of doing that as well, I have to snap myself out of it. But that's what keeps me going, is knowing that as long as you're breathing, you have a chance. Next question. What legacy do you want to leave behind? Legacy is a strong word, but if I had to leave anything behind, I work with a lot of youth, a lot of kids and whatnot. So if I were to leave anything behind, it would be that anybody who was around me felt heard and they felt seen. That's what I want to leave behind. Next question. What does success look like for you? Success for me looks like happiness. It looks like joy. It looks like balance, a balanced life, not being so hard on yourself. That's what success looks like for me. All right, guys. So we have our last question of the episode. And again, before I answer this last question, I want to thank you again for tuning in. I just wanted to, you know, have you get to know me a little bit better, a little bit deeper, and whatnot. So I kind of came up with some questions and Googled some questions. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you're not following me on TikTok, please follow me at Generation Latino Podcast. And you can follow me on Instagram as well at Generation Latino Podcast. But, anyways, I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for listening to this podcast. You can follow me again on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast. All right. So, last question. If someone listening feels stuck in life, what would you tell them? All right. So, for those of you out there who are feeling stuck, I want you to know that To me, feeling stuck is a phase. It is something that is not permanent. Have felt stuck many times in my life, but usually when I'm feeling stuck, I'm very stagnant, meaning that I'm not challenging myself. If you're feeling stuck, what I would like for you to do is challenge yourself and ask, why do you feel like you're being stuck? Why do you feel stuck? Are you at a plateau? What's happening? Figure out what's making you feel stuck and figure out ways to get out of that. And for me, if I'm feeling stuck somewhere, it means that I am not coming up with enough solutions for myself. So, whether it's a plateau at the gym, whether it's time management, I'm going to have to pivot. But also, too, guys, if you're feeling stuck out there, don't be so hard on yourself for being stuck. Like, don't feel hard. Don't be hard on yourself. Do not be hard on yourself. Figure out what it is, make it happen, make the moves. But, guys, you also have to get up, get off your ass, and do it. If you want to lose those 10 pounds, if you want to get a better job, if you want more money, like you're going to have to find ways to do it. You are. You are going to have to. I'm sorry. That's the only way. But anyways, guys, I love you all. Thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you on the next episode. Bye, guys.